Hey, what's going on, guys? It's been a while, and today I wanted to try out the classic Daniel Lord hiding in my room bathroom camera angle, and also talk about the circumstances which have led to me being NEET. And I guess by circumstances, I'm gonna talk about really kind of like broad general stuff and not like specific events, like maybe the one event that led me to being NEET, which is a pretty massive story in itself that I'll get to eventually. But I just want to talk about more like, I don't know, general stuff like bullying and stuff like that. And anyways, yeah, that gets me to my first point, which is bullying. Bullying is one of those things that basically makes you highly afraid of interacting with other people. It makes you unable to, form intimate bonds because you're just so traumatized by what happened that, well, you are pretty much, incapable of not seeing everybody else as a threat. And, well, every time you hear, maybe someone laughing or giggling, you just automatically assume that it's you that they're laughing at, and that they're talking shit about you, and just being assholes. And yeah, I guess I'm lucky in the sense that I didn't get the crap kicked out of me as far as like bullying goes, but I feel like at most I got shoved a couple of times and it hurt my foot, or the guy, my main bully, punched me in the arm and bruised it, but that's pretty much it. For the most part, it was really more a lot of like social stuff, like constant name calling, being called a faggot and stuff like that, and being picked on, made fun of in front, like in my face and behind my back. And when it was in my face, there are several reasons why I didn't know how to stand up for myself, and one of them was my Asperger's and just not understanding the concept of self-respect and integrity, and what else is there, just like not taking shit from people and respecting, like loving yourself and stuff like that. And yeah, I didn't really have any of that, I guess because nobody maybe taught me, or because of my Asperger's. And also it just made it really hard for me to come up with witty remarks, because I'm the type of person who, when I open my mouth, I usually say some really weird shit, especially when I'm nervous, and everybody just looks at each other and is like, wait, what the fuck did this guy just say? Like, that makes no sense. But then they don't say it out loud, but they just kind of look at each other and I guess eventually start laughing because I'm fucking weird. And yeah, there's that. And also, it really just messes with your head. And throughout my life, especially like high school, middle school, high school, I have had multiple people bully me. Well, there's actually 3 I consider to be the main ones. And they mostly just constantly tried to, like, I guess, test me. And when they found out that I didn't know how to stand up for myself because of my Asperger's, they started to do more and more shit, say more and more mean things, and make fun of me in front of other people, knowing that I wouldn't know how to respond. And that really traumatized me because it made me feel really isolated and alone, and not know how to, just deal with people, because I just saw them as threats and I got paranoid. Pretty much was the cause of my social anxiety. So yeah, that's definitely a pretty big circumstance. And I will get into that in more detail, probably about each individual bully. I'll probably use like a mini series or something. Second thing that I want to talk about is, would probably be the fact that I never really had a significant, male role model in my life. And that's not to say that I grew up like fatherless, because I definitely did have a father, but he wasn't exactly a manly man, and obviously this is not his fault, and I really appreciate him for all he's done for me. But because I guess he didn't really know any better, and he had a pretty crappy childhood, to say the least. But I guess he didn't know any better, and he was basically either working, and when he was home, he would basically be just a giant pushover to my mom. And I guess because of that, I sort of witnessed him being walked all over and shouted at and mistreated and talked really badly about. And I guess my mom at the time when I was growing up basically ruled the house by fear. I was afraid of her. I guess he was afraid of her up until the point I guess he couldn't take it anymore. But more often than not, he was basically just being pushed around. And yeah, I guess because of that, not having that, first of all, kind of didn't really give me any information on how to act around other people and around other guys, especially since I'm an only child, which is I guess the third thing that I wanted to mention, but also highly related. Well, yeah, I didn't have any like male role models, and he never really sat down and talked to me about how to deal with other people. And I guess, I don't know, never taught me how to like stand with my back straight, I guess. Although I guess most parents don't do that. I don't know, probably being too nitpicky. And I want to re-stress that I don't blame him at all, or like I don't really blame him like 90%, because he didn't really know himself. But yeah, there's that. But just being walked all over and stuff, I ended up copying a lot of those behaviors when I ended up talking to other people outside the house, including my peers at school. And that is probably what caused me to signal my weakness and end up getting walked all over, because I was, an only child, which is my third point. And well, I didn't have like anyone to practice social skills with, and it definitely didn't help with my Asperger's, especially since my parents would bring me straight home from school every day and never let me hang out, because they were kind of helicopter parents, even at a very early age. And they didn't really let me learn from my mistakes. So yeah, I guess helicopter parenting would be the fourth thing. And yeah, they basically didn't let me make any choices. I was basically just wearing whatever clothes that they picked out for me, and most of them were like really like cheap clothes, I guess. Or like, if not that, then my mom would, I guess, pick out all my outfits. And I guess I didn't really know any better at the time. I guess can't really blame them, because of my Asperger's, I never really thought about things like individuality and expressing myself. I just did whatever. And well, I guess they took that and ran with it. And my mom always made me dress in these really mismatched like outfits, which definitely contribute to me being bullied as well. I know one girl made fun of me in class for having really shitty clothes, and yeah, that definitely wasn't fun either. And yeah, so there's that. What else? Single child. Sorry, I just thought I heard somebody. Yeah, being a single child, yeah, not having the chance to practice those social skills. And because I'm thinking with a sibling, like you maybe get a sense of dominance hierarchies and stuff like that. So maybe having a sibling would have helped me, even if my dad was a pushover. But I guess the combination of the two, and not having that like really strong male role model in my life, and not even from anybody outside of my family, because well, I guess my parents always kept me in the house, if not in school. So that probably didn't help things. And yeah, I mean, yeah, there's that. So the fifth thing, I guess, would be perceived poverty, because it's like I was, for all like things considered, I was pretty well off as a child, but just the fact that both my parents grew up in poverty, like they were pretty well off at the time they had me, but they were always scrimping on things and never buying me like new clothes. And basically I'm probably being kind of ungrateful when I say this, because you know, I realize that now, but you know, back when you're a kid, you don't really understand this. You don't understand how things are, and you basically grow up comparing yourself to your peers and the people you spend the most time with. And I happened to go to this really exclusive school, and the only reason I got in at the time was because my dad was a physician. And you might be thinking, wow, like you must be like balling then. And I guess that is true relative to everybody else. But firstly, he wasn't a physician in America, so he was in a place with public health care, and oftentimes they would underpay doctors, although he still did make considerably more than the average person in that country. But I guess he was a doctor, personal doctor for some big family, and they were able to pull some strings and get me into this international school. But I remember just being growing up thinking I was poor for most of my life, because first of all, when I went to my friends' houses for a few times, they were always so much bigger than mine. Like these people literally had like these massive like mansions, or even just detached homes, like not in apartments, which already was a huge thing where I grew up. And yeah, they'd always had new clothes, nice stuff, and I never really had a lot of that apart from maybe my Game Boy, but they always had that and like 10 times more, and were able to like buy pretty much everything they want. Like I basically went to school with the 1%, except I wasn't that. I was more like, I guess by North American standards, I was middle class, like dead middle class, like not upper or lower, but just middle class. And I'd say maybe the upper part of middle class, like, but below upper middle class. I'm not even making any sense, but yeah, I just grew up thinking I was poor, and that led to a lot of shame for most of my life. And I really didn't understand that, because I was probably really ungrateful too. And yeah, it's hard, because I definitely was being ungrateful, but also it's like I didn't really know any better as a kid, and now I do. But well, you don't really know, so as a kid, I was constantly ashamed to go into my parents, like, for, I guess when I was an early child, like this beat up like Honda, like maroon Honda, that was like falling apart. And eventually we upgraded to like a nicer car, but by then it was still, that was a Hyundai that was beat up. And then we got a Honda CRV, I guess. But everybody at that school had like, I don't know, like BMWs, Mercedes, and like crazy ass shit like that. So, well, but that wasn't even what I was paying attention to. It was more like the possessions that I had. Everybody had nicer pencils than me, and you know, I maybe have gotten comments a few times about it, but it's just a massive source of insecurity. And I basically experienced like perceived poverty, which is, I realize now that how ridiculous that is, but it definitely shaped my mindset to an extent and made me feel a lot more ashamed to deal with my peers because I felt I was inferior to them somehow, because maybe their parents had all this wealth, or they just had this confidence about them, whereas I always had this insecurity that I was somehow poor, even though I actually wasn't, but I believed that genuinely. And yeah, there's so much more I could get into that, but that's my 5th point. What else? I guess 6th thing would be growing up in a collectivist society or culture, and then moving to a I guess more individualistic one, which is where I am now, and well, firstly, it's really hard to relate to people here because I feel like everybody's had those like experiences, like going to parties and doing drugs, that I've never had. So automatically I'm already like the nerdy kid, the weird kid, which I already was, but even more so over here. And also that sorry, I keep pretty paranoid that I'm being listened to by my parents, but what else? There's that, and also what was I saying? Just stuff like, like about being collectivist culture. So yeah, it's like I miss those formative experiences, and I basically I don't know, like the way people interact with people here is really different, and I guess you're not really taught to stand up for yourself, but you're more taught to fall in line and follow what everybody else is doing, which I guess is kind of true here to an extent, but it's even more pronounced where I was. And so there's that. And I never was encouraged to like participate in class. I was always afraid of that, and stuff like that. That definitely doesn't help with functioning in like, I guess, society over here. And over there you're taught to just be like cool, or like it's cool not to show emotion and like just be like all aloof. But here it just makes you look like an asshole and like uninteresting. Like here it's really more about being like as outgoing as possible, and like speaking your mind and having opinions and showing emotions, but not like needy emotions, but more like that you're happy, and like being as obnoxious and loud as possible. Whereas it's really not like that where I'm from, or I don't really know anymore whether I'm accurately viewing my past, but I think that's also part of it, just not being in a individualistic society when I grew up, and then suddenly transitioning and then having to deal with all of the complicated differences. And I guess because of my Asperger's, I wasn't really able to adapt properly, whereas most people were able to. So yeah, there's definitely that. And I think that's pretty much it for now. The video is getting long, so I'm gonna end it here. And hope you guys enjoyed that. And I know it's been a while, and I really want to make a promise that I'm going to be uploading daily, and that's probably going to bite me in the ass, but I feel like it's important for me to make that commitment so that I hopefully be more productive. And it's probably better for my channel too to upload more frequently. So I guess I will make that promise right now. I promise to upload a video once a day. And anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. And I guess I'm gonna finish up for now and upload this soon. And anyways, peace.